Hello, welcome to this demonstration of the Annals of Neurosurgery calculator for risk of rupture of unruptured aneurysms and risk-benefit analysis. So this is a software that I developed back in 2006 to undertake the risk-benefit analysis on intervening in a patient with an unruptured aneurysm. So what this calculator does is that it models what's the risk of rupture of an unruptured aneurysm and also then pits that against the risk of intervening and then gives you an analysis of the risks and benefits. To use the calculator, you have to read through this disclaimer first because this is a model that is based on issue data as well as some published papers, but at the end of the day it's a theoretical model, so you have to read it, and if you accept the conditions then it will take you to the calculator. So this calculator allows you to calculate the risk of rupture based on either the issue data. Issue data was the international study of unruptured intracranial aneurysm data that was published in Lancet, or you can use any data from another paper. That's the strength of this calculator. This calculator is not issue dependent. It can function independent of issue data. So in that sense, it's time proof. So this is where you insert the risk of rupture per year. If you want to go with the issue data, you can use these numbers, or if you want to use custom annual risk, then you can click on here and enter the custom rate. So let's say if it's custom rate, the annual risk is 3% per year, then you can use that. But if you, let's say you want to use the issue data for an anterior circulation aneurysm that is between 7 and 12 millimeter diameter, then you can click on that and issue data. When you extrapolate the data that was published, then the annual risk was around 0.5%. The calculator also allows you to calculate the risk of rupture for the lifetime, or you can choose to calculate the risk of rupture over a certain period of time. Some patients would say, look, doctor, I'm 50 years. I don't want to know the risk until I'm 90 years. What I want to know, what's the risk for the next 20 years? This calculator allows you to both use the lifetime tables as well as use a custom period over which there's the risk that you want to calculate. So in terms of the life tables that's already programmed into this calculator, it's the UK and US. So let's say that we want to calculate the lifetime risk of a patient from US who's a female, then it automatically pulls the lifetime risk, the life table of US from 2002. Now we are in 2017, and the numbers would have changed. The life expectancy of US people would have changed. So nowadays, I think it's more safer to use custom life expectancy. Here, you can put, let's say, what's the risk for the next 15 years. So you can just click it through, or you can just type 15. You can just type directly. Then the next one is to decide if you intervene either surgically or endovascularly, what do you think is the risk of serious adverse outcome? That might be death or long-term serious morbidity. And here you can once again dial it up or down, and some people would say the risk of serious risk is 5%, some would say it's 15%. So you can dial it up or down, and let's say we'll leave it at 10. And the other dial that is here is important one. that one has to take into consideration when managing patients. If you have any patients in life, there's a couple of ways of managing. One is not managing at all. One is medically managing. One is surgically managing. And so that's always three options that philosophically one should have in mind, because sometimes natural history is better than intervention. So what does this dial allow you to set? Let's say that we got 100 patients and 100 patients have rupture of aneurysm. This one is the proportion of the patients after rupture of an aneurysm are definitely going to have adverse outcome. So on the paper by the Newcastle team, they set it for 75%. Once again, you can make it 80% if you want, and but this one you can go up and down to model it. You can put patient's name here. Let's say Joy. Did we say it was a female? So let's say it's a Jessica Blog, and if there's a hospital number, which I don't have, just a theory, then you can put it, because you can print out this outcome with this report. So now on summary, so we said what we want to look for the rupture risk for a anterior circulation aneurysm, which is 7 to 12 millimeters in diameter, and in the issue data that will be a risk around 0.5%, and we have gone for a custom life expectancy. The calculation is for over the next 15 years, and we are saying that the surgical risk of severe morbidity or mortality is 10%, and we are saying that, you know, if 100 patients had subarachnoid hemorrhage and you did not do anything at all, then 80% would be very severely adversely affected. So now let's submit and see what the report says. So here we get the report. So in this report, the first one is saying that the estimated cumulative lifetime risk of rupture of the aneurysm is 7%. So what it says is that over the next 15 years, the cumulative risk of rupture is 7%. That's that if you have 100 patients, then 7% of that 100 patients will likely to have aneurysm rupture. Okay, and the second line is saying the estimated average life years that will be lost through the natural history is 0.4 years. So what this says is that if you have 100 patients, okay, all having this anterior circulation aneurysm, and if you follow them up for 15 years without intervention, okay, then on average, each person will be losing 0.4 years through rupture of that aneurysm, resulting in either death or severe morbidity. Okay, the next line is that estimated average life years that will be lost through proposed intervention in years. So this is like if you take 100 patients with this anterior circulation aneurysm that is between 7 and 12 millimeters, and these are all unruptured aneurysm, okay? And then if you intervene and your complication rate is 10%, then on average for each person you will be losing 1.5 years, okay? And so what is the net average years saved by the intervention? Actually, because the years lost from intervention will be greater than the years lost through the natural history, the average net life years saved by the intervention is actually negative, minus 1.1. So if you intervene in this aneurysm, 100 patients, and then you looked at what would happen over the next 15 years, then on average the patients will be worse off. But let's say that if you decrease the your complication rate, let's say to 5%, and now we do it, then it's still that you lose through intervening. But let's say if we take it to 25 years, okay, and then do it, we still lose 0.1. Yes. Okay. So let's say we have actually very good, um, very low complication rate, and if we try that, what what we see that is that this time the average years lost from natural history will be 1.2 years. Average years lost through surgery for the intervention will be 0.3 years because our complication rate is low. So the net years that will be saved on average by the intervention is 0.9 years. So now the intervention is actually having a positive effect over 25 years with a very small risk of complications. And at what point does the uh, intervention become better than the natural history? It's after 11.3 years. So this calculator gives you facility to um, change the rates, whether it's Ishua or custom rate, whether it's life tables of UK or US or custom years, and also you can dial in what your personal complication rate you are expecting for that aneurysm, and also this fact that there's always a natural history doesn't always 100% have bad outcome. So this is the Annals of Neurosurgery calculator that was developed by me, and now I have gone on to develop a visual um, display to show you the risks of the natural history, risks of the intervention, and the net effect. And I will be showing that to you in the next tutorial. Thank you very much and wishing you a good day.